So in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about how to play memorable guitar solos. Of course, all of our favorite guitar solos are our favorites for a reason, because they're memorable. Afterwards, we went, oh wow, that was such a great guitar solo. Maybe we're even hearing it in our head and it's stuck in our head and we want to listen to it over and over again. So we're going to be talking about some simple things that you can implement into your playing to make your guitar solos more memorable. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. One of the most important parts of playing a memorable guitar solo is actually it needs to have an element of simplicity or a simple melody that's involved with it. So take this, for example. If after that solo, or after that little part of the solo rather, it continues with sort of the same exact idea. It's not really anything super complicated. That sort of melodic idea continues developing over and over, and this is one of the most memorable parts of that solo, which I will not mention the name of. You can go ahead and comment down below. And we're going to be talking about how we can actually do this in our own solos and implement this concept a little bit. So, step one is we have to come up with a very simple melody. So we're going to go ahead and play over this backing track, and I'm going to play a little simple melody over it, and then we're going to see how we can develop this thing. So right there, that's going to be my melodic idea. So this whole entire thing of da 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 da. How do I develop off it? So I already did step one. I came up with a simple melody. Step two is that I want to keep the contour of the melody in mind. So some of you may not be familiar with this idea of a contour in a melody. So let me explain what contour means. Contour is quite literally the shape of the melody that you're playing. So, in other words, does it go up or does it go down? And by how much does it go up and down? Now, this is a little bit different than specifically figuring out like what intervals are in a melody. We don't want to worry about that. We want to actually think more generally. So, this little idea that I came up with at first, there's a very specific contour to it. So on the top note, down, down again, and back up. And there's also, by the way, attached with that melody, just as important, is actually the rhythm. Although we're going to end up changing the rhythm very soon, you'll see. So the contour is basically wah, da, da, da. If you look at my hand, it's high, low, low, and then back high. So I can actually play a lot of different things based on that contour, and I can either make the contour wider, I can make it narrower. In this case, I can't make it really narrower because all those notes were relatively close to each other. But the bottom line is that if I keep that contour throughout my solo in different places, somebody who's listening to it, even if they're not a musician, they're going to be able to hear how everything I play is sort of related to that first fundamental melodic idea that I came up with. So I'm going to solo a little bit more, and I'm going to try as much as possible to keep that exact same contour. Not actually exactly the same. I might make it a little bit wider. Remember, I don't want to think so much minutia. I don't want to think every single last note that I'm playing. I just want to think more generally. High, low, lower, and then high again. So let's see what that sounds like. Getting really high. So now I'm changing the rhythm a little bit. I'll hang on that higher note longer. Still the same contour though, right? So you see how all of a sudden now I can go kind of for a while. And of course, there's more stuff that we're going to change in a second, but I can go for a while and I'm playing different stuff. So you don't necessarily know exactly what I'm going to play. I'm not playing the exact same thing over and over, right? Because then that would get boring. So a lot of times we feel like our playing is too repetitive. Oh, I'm just playing the exact same thing over and over. But repetition is good. But we don't want too much repetition. We don't want too much exact repetition, okay? We want to have a balance between repetition and change, and that's what's actually going to give us that sweet spot of an interesting solo that is yet memorable simultaneously. Now, step 3 is now we want to start changing some more stuff, particularly the rhythm. So I did a little bit of that before changing the rhythm, but now I'm still going to keep sort of that same contour, but I'm going to change the rhythm and maybe I will change a little bit of the contour as well, but I'm still going to keep the general contour that's going on. Maybe I'll mess around with this little hammer on and pull off thing a little bit more, or maybe I'll mess with repeating the bends. I'll repeat different parts of the phrase, but you're still going to be able to hear how at the end of the day, it still all ties back to the original melodic idea. So let's see what that would sound like. And now I'm right back to the original idea. Da 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 da. So you see there, now all of a sudden, it still all ties back to that original idea, but now it's changed and transformed even more. Again, the whole thing that I want you guys to get out of this is the ability to create a very simple melodic idea and then, like a cow, milk it for all it's worth, right? So I'm trying to milk as many possible sub-variations out of that super simple idea as I possibly can. That way, my solo is, number one, memorable, like is the whole entire point of this video, and number two, it's actually easier to play like this, in my opinion, because now I don't have this pressure on myself to come up with 50 bajillion different ideas all the time. So now, the last part we're going to talk about is step 4, is being able to actually just completely disconnect yourself from the original idea that we came up with, but then come back at some point so that it's never totally lost. So if I want to now, I can start kind of playing different lines and playing different ideas. However, at some point, I'm going to end up coming back to that original idea in some way, shape, or form, even if it may be more loosely related, like some of the stuff that we were just doing where I was changing the rhythm and making some different modifications and so on and so forth. So no matter what happens, guys, once you start kind of going off into the woods, oh, I'm going to play a whole bunch of cool licks, I'm going to play a bunch of fast stuff, I want to be able to come back to that original idea. And sometimes it's super cool because the people we're listening to, they might have forgotten that original idea was happening. And then once you kind of bring it back, it's like, oh, wow. Finally, that whole thing came back. I didn't even expect it to come back. It's almost like when you're watching a TV show and then like something that happened like an hour ago or 45 minutes ago that you forgot about gets referenced again and comes back. That's, of course, when it comes to that art form, that's a sign of very good, writing and so on and so forth. So we can implement all that same stuff, actually improvise on the spot in our own guitar solo. So let's check that out. I'm going to base my solo off that melodic idea. Then I'll somehow break away from it at some point and I'll come back afterwards. By the way, now look, there's another idea. There's the contour. It's going higher and coming down. So you hear there were several times where I deliberately played a bunch of stuff that was completely unrelated to the original idea, but then I made it a point to come back periodically to that original motif and that original really contour. So if you want to learn how to master the guitar fretboard so that you can take these ideas and you actually will know how to play in all 12 keys, no matter where you are on the guitar fretboard, then make sure you head on over to Jamsville.com right now and check out the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. Also, make sure you head on over to the Jamsville merch store and pick yourself up an awesome Jamsville t-shirt just like this one. They're super duper comfy and they fit fantastically. You're gonna love wearing them out in the world so you can tell everybody that you're a guitar player and that you watch the best freaking guitar YouTube channel. Of course, that's my opinion, but anyway. And make sure you check out my new song that I just released. It's called My Divine. That's what you're listening to in the background of the video right now. Link is in the description below so you can listen to it on your favorite streaming platform. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button and leave a comment. If you don't know what to comment, just comment a guitar emoji. It really, really helps out the algorithm, guys. Please, please, please like the video. It really, really, really helps. We got to get a higher percentage of you. There's only like 2% of you liking the videos. Let's get that up. And until next time, listen, learn, and jam.